Afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday afternoon, Monday morning, Monday night, wherever you are. We have a fantastic show for you guys today. We are going to be going over some of the Chicago Mothman reports today. And my goodness, there are over almost 200 of them, if not more, sightings of the Chicago Mothman. And I've got an interactive map and all that to show you guys today, but we're also going to be getting into government programs where there are portals being opened, and then we're going to circle around and we're going to tie that into the Chicago Mothman reports. And I can promise y'all know I like to connect the dots, and I see patterns here. And so we're going to get into that today. I'm going to show you a lot of maps. Don't come for me, three-letter agencies, okay? We're just over here having fun. It's all for entertainment purposes only, right? But nonetheless, it's going to be a great show today. And I do have my good friend, Barry Littleton, here with me again today. And we're going to have Barry. Of course, he and I have talked about winged humanoids before. And I don't think all of these are Mothmen. I don't know. It sounds like gargoyles to me. And even maybe Batman. Do y'all know Batman? Is that Marvel, I think? One of those superheroes? We're going to talk about Batman today as well, because some of these reports sound like Batman. But anyways, let's get to it, y'all. Okay, and let's see if you guys are going to be in my side of the state, my neck of the woods. If you're in Georgia this weekend, come see me at the West Georgia Bigfoot Town Hall. We have multiple newspapers and radio stations advertising that for us right now, and Whitesburg, Georgia at McIntosh Reserve. We're going to be there. It starts at 10. I can't guarantee you we're going to be there till 6. That's way too late, kind of. It doesn't take that long to have a town hall, y'all. The official time says 10 to 6. I'm going to say 10 to 3 at the most. So please get there early if you're coming to that. And we do have a 50% chance of rain that day, unfortunately. And we're going to play it by ear. But we are definitely going along with it. We're going to have the event. Okay, it's not going to rain. But anyways, you can get more information on that on my website if you like to go to thecryptidhuntress.com. Go get some tickets, 18 and under free. Get your tickets for adults if you want to come, and it's going to be a fun time. Also, I have my Patreon links over there, and my Etsy shop is called War Woman Goods. It's all on my website, along with all my shows, my calendar of events, all that is there on my website. Okay, so we got that, and I guess that's it for now. I do have some other events, but I'll get to those when we get closer to those dates. We are focusing on this one event this weekend, and so y'all please come out and see me. Okay, let's get to our show today, y'all. So we are exploring the multitude of recent Mothman and large-winged humanoids across Chicago and the Lake Michigan area. Today, Mothman sightings surged in Chicago between 2017 and 2019, but they are still being seen today. There are well over 50 reports in that time period for those 2 years, 50 reports around Lake Michigan and the Chicago River. Okay, this map that we have has almost, if not 200, it's close to 200 sightings, and they are seeing flying between buildings and landing and perching on rooftops across Chicago. We're also going to take a deep dive into multiple government programs that are reportedly, allegedly, opening portals we're going to we can even look into some of these special glasses and contacts that have been coming out recently, where they say you can look into alternate realities, not the dicyan dye goggles, something different. Even though dicyan dye might be involved, I'm not sure. But you can see in the dark, you can see through your eyelids, and you can see into other dimensions. And we'll talk about some of the cases where some of the people were testing out the glasses and went to the zoo. I'm going to tell you what they saw. It's really weird. So, of course, I do have my good friend Barry Littleton here with us today, and he is a cutting edge researcher of all things paranormal, supernatural, spiritual, UFO, cryptid, and he has a YouTube channel called Barry Littleton, and he does live shows every Sunday, and he had a great one yesterday. We'll talk about it. Please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Yo, what's up, Jessica? How's it going? Thanks for having me on again.
Thank you for being here.
In the audience too, and thanks for being there yesterday too.
Excuse me. Oh, of course. That was a great show yesterday, Barry. I'm proud of you. How many live shows have you done now? 40?
I think that was number 36. I think. Yeah, I think it's number 36, which blows me away. You know, it went from being these fast blasts to which don't do very good anymore when I put those out, oddly. That's all I did for like 7 years was Fast Blast. But they're doing really, really, really good. And the interaction I enjoy with the audience a lot. A lot of genius people in there, you know, sharper than me. So it doesn't take much to blow me away, you know. But at least it gets us on the right path of what we need to be talking about. You know, I think dealing with right now, it's all these agencies or this event that we're going through right now that seems to be, to me, directly tied to AI. Whatever AI was already here is just adjusting to whatever systems we're having here. And I believe that these rash of phenomena that we're seeing so much right now, like all of a sudden, all these Mothman, just all of a sudden, boom, all these Mothman sightings, and they just happen to look like Batman. Okay. Shout out to Michael Keaton. But anyway. He
was the best Batman.
Yeah, I think so too. Bale wasn't bad, but he just wasn't big enough. You know what I mean? Keaton either, really, but Keaton was just better. Anyway, but you were out of West, right? That's so ridiculous. I mean, even I would look that good in a bat suit. Good Lord, man. Anyway, sorry. Back to what we were talking about. But I think whatever this system is causing right now. And, you know, I think, honestly, Jessica, it's tied into this need for likes and views. And that's where we're at right now in society. People walking around looking at phones and not interacting anymore. Mm-hmm. There's something else going on that's taking that psychokinetic energy, that loosh, that morphogenetic field. And I believe that this field respondent's been doing it in a long time with these beings, and Mothman fits this, that just jump into our field of awareness and then jump away. And to me, it just looks like just visually, that's what they actually do. You know, Mothman is known for that. Spring Hill Jack, you know, these things, these entities, even Chupacabra, they jump in our field of awareness and jump away. And when I was talking about yesterday concerning just acknowledging the multi-earth thing, but really just even keeping it to two basic earth, that you have one where you have physical beings with consciousness that's physical, third dimensional, but you've got this other earth that is energetic, astral, dreamlike, all these things where you have entities that have consciousness without body, as in inorganic and other things. And when we have some things like I was mentioning yesterday with Earthbound Spirit Release, I deal with the earthbound level. And that's like mom and dad didn't cross over, and people that actually respond to cognitive behavioral. Then you've got the next level. Sometimes you got people that are so negative, they turn dark. You know, they're so dark that they turn to something else when they die. But that takes us to that other level that is more of negative inorganic beings, or we can call them demonic, whatever phrase people want. I don't care, you know, but the point is they're negative and what we could call evil to a degree. Definitely. Okay. Whether they're fallen or they're actually created that way, I don't think it matters. Then you've got this third level for Earthbound Spirit Release that I was talking about, and it's the extraterrestrial. And when it comes to the demonic factor, Jessica, they may come from other dimensions, densities, universes. I don't know. I don't know what the entry aperture is for the Mako they go through. I don't know where it is. Okay. But as far as the third is the extraterrestrial, the beings that are coming from space, and they're landing not on this physical Earth, but on the other Earth. And they're beings that are pure thought forms, some of them. They don't have ships. They don't have anything. They're extraterrestrial. And, and it takes us, you and I have talked before about the demonic versus extraterrestrial aspect. Where does it begin and end? And when you start coming with, because the first one I dealt with this thing that I did the show about yesterday, I thought it was telling the client that it was a person, an earthbound. And it's projecting that at first, but it couldn't keep it up. And it passed a couple of tricks that a demonic normally can't. They have trouble with. Mm-hmm. Okay. But then it stumped up later with projecting hate and stuff. And it turns out it was an ET. So I just want to make that verification. You do have star beings, and they're not all physical by any stretch. Some of them don't have containers for consciousness at all, I don't think. And they come here and they just jump around. So that one was able to evade a couple other things, but nonetheless, it was horrible, and it was a type of possession. So I just want to just comment on the two different types of possession that even goes beyond and before what we call the SSP. They're just using that technology to amplify that through neuroprogramming. But this has been going on for, thousands of years now. Anyway, I'll leave it there. And it's cool. We're going to go into talking about portals too, and the manipulating of them. We talked about this before, and I think you and I have done more work on manipulation of portals than anybody that nobody gives us credit for, but that's all right. Everyone just fights it. You see people talking about it, but they're not. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, man, but you know what I'm saying? Just to get us on the right vibe. So I think it's cool, and all of it ties together, though, ultimately. And when dealing with these portals, it's about, like, people like, when I hear Dr. Brandenburg talking about, dealing with NASA and the team of scientists that work with NASA, they're trying to control portals. And for military reasons, it's to actually make a whole army disappear. So they're trying to actually trigger the portals themselves. So we can make a whole army or civilizations disappear. And that, that's pretty heavy. And that ties into when I first gave you Earth weaponized portals to remote view. You didn't know what it was, but everybody watches us know you're picking up on the sun. I mean, the amount of data you had about the sun tripped me out, and it was like boom, immediate. I was like, whoa! I'm aware of things about the sun, but I just wasn't expecting that. It's supposed to be focusing on Earth, but it showed me that the weaponizing attempt of weaponizing our entire solar system is what that is. So anyway, it's and the network that actually makes the black spots on the sun, that's a network, like a warp network kind of, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, it's just, it's fascinating, but it's disconcerting nonetheless.
It is. Well, we're going to tie in. Okay. I wanted to go over the Chicago Mothman reports and stuff. We're going to talk about Mothman, Chicago Mothman, and then we're going to move into some of these government portal programs that we have where the government has, a lot of this has been declassified. We know they were using portals and for teleportation experiments and time travel experiments. We're going to go over all of that, including some of these remote viewing programs, by the way, Barry. And then we're going to get into the Department of Energy. We're going to get into some of these locations. And there is actually one of these locations right there in near Chicago, just north of Chicago. And I'm going to tie that into these Mothman reports. So we've got a lot to discuss today. Dang, we got a lot to discuss, Barry. I'm super excited about this one. And so I guess first of all, let me just let's talk a little bit about Mothman in general, okay? And so Mothman, like I said, the sightings surged between 2017 and 2019. I'd be interested to know when they were doing work and turning on these large ion colliders and stuff. And I know we've had these conversations about these colliders and stuff, but they do have I do believe they have one of these. They're usually underneath these Department of Energy buildings. Okay, so when have these things been turned on? That's my question. But there were at least 50 reports just in those 2 years, and I guess I can just go ahead and pull up this map. Let's just go ahead and show the map of all these Chicago Mothman reports. Okay, here we go. Now I got this off of a subreddit on Chicago Mothman. Okay. And here, I'm going to kind of zoom out here so that the audience can get an idea of where, hold on, let me see if I can show a picture while I have this up. Okay. So let me pull this up. Let me see if it works. If it works, we're good. All right. It does show it. Okay, this is where Chicago is, everybody. In case you're not from the United States, if you're not familiar where Chicago is, it's in Illinois, right there on I think that's Lake Michigan, one of the Great Lakes. And it's right there, the very top, tippy top area right there of Illinois. Okay, and here's another map right here, Chicago, Illinois. It's north of Georgia where I live. It's going to be east of where Barry's from. And okay, so let's zoom in on this map. If I can find it here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. We're going to look at all these reports. Oops, wrong way to zoom here. Hold on. Golly, I tell you what. There we go. I need Jimmy Payne here telling me what to do. Hold on. Just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
Go down a little bit. Okay, go up, go down. Okay. Anyways, I'm playing. I love you, Jimmy, if you're watching. Okay. But look at this. If you go over to the side over here, look over to the side. Look at all these reports. There are over 185 reports of Mothman sightings. Literally over 185, almost 190, I believe, or maybe like 190. And I'm not going to click on all these. They actually the ones that I clicked on all took me over to Phantoms and Monsters website, and that's with Lon Strickler. I would love to have Lon on the show soon. I'm going to ask Lon to come on the show. I haven't invited him yet, I don't think, but we'll get him on. He takes a lot of these reports. I think he took all these, actually. This might even be his map for all I know, but this was on the subreddit of Chicago Mothman. Let me just read some of these. Okay, starting at number 1, bat-like object witnessed over Chicago. Number 2, orange-eyed winged being. Number 3, bat-winged humanoid. Number 4, Chicago Owlman eyewitness out of Oz Park. Number 5, Chicago Owlman. So, Barry, they're calling these Owlmen. Owlman. A lot of these are Owlman. A lot of them are giant bat-winged humanoids. Okay, and some of them have feathers and stuff too. So they're actually, it's not just like one being. These are a whole bunch of different descriptions, Barry. This one right here is
that actually answers the question I was actually going to ask you. Did you consider, and I used to laugh at this name, I just couldn't help it, but did you consider Mothman and Bat Squatch to be the same thing? That, you know, I've heard some people classify them as the same thing and other people's not. So I'm just curious.
I've heard that before. Yeah, I've thought about that. I mean, they're talking about 7 to 8 foot long flying bat humanoid. Okay, large winged humanoid encountered, large bat-like humanoid, large black flying man, a large black flying man sighting. See, Chicago police officer reports.
Are they talking about a brother? You know, brother with wings.
Oh my gosh. This one right here is interesting. Human shapeshifts into giant blackbird. All right. Giant bat-like entity emerges lakefront overlook. 7 foot tall bat-like creature perched on something. I don't know. I can't read that. Large black bat at Melrose Park. Dramatic flying humanoid encounter. Winged humanoid confronts shocked. I don't know. The word's not on there. Big owl. There's a winged being on somebody's roof. Chicago phantoms. I mean, it just goes on and on. Red, and they're either described as having glowing red eyes or glowing orange eyes. But a lot of them are man bat perched atop a light pole. I mean, that is just wild. It just goes on and on. A flying witch, a huge bat winged being, winged humanoid gargoyle. They're also being described as gargoyles as well.
With all that many reports, nobody's getting any footage or pics of any type.
There are pictures. Some of these do have pictures on them, but like I said, it directs you over to the Phantom and Monsters website. So y'all go check out Lon Strickler's website. It's called Phantoms and Monsters, I believe. And I mean, look, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Isn't that wild? So, and these are not only seen in the daytime, they're seen at nighttime as well. Okay, so, but
I would imagine the majority is probably seen at night, aren't they?
The majority are seen at night, and a lot of them are on, like right here on the river. But look, there's some in the town too. Like, see, this is Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Saw somebody here said they work at the airport. Or there is it Johnny? Said he lives near there. That circle right here is the O'Hare International Airport. All right, let's get into that. All right, because well, okay, so they have an affinity for the O'Hare Airport. Let me read one. I'll just read one encounter. Okay, on Thursday, September 24th of 2020, an employee at the U.S. Postal Service left her job to go home. Actually, so I wrote this down, but then I was seeing that she was actually on a cigarette break or something. But she was out in the parking lot. She was walking to her car when she got off work. She saw what she described as a very tall person wearing a coat across the parking lot. She got in her car and she shined her lights on it, and it was about 25 feet away. It turned to look at her, and the coat was actually its wings, Barry. It's actually its wings. It spread out its wings and it shined its red lights at her, and she freaked out. That was just one of the sightings. Now, let me tell you about John Keel. Have you heard of John Keel? This is a guy who's written about the Mothman prophecies, Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, John Keel, he was a prominent ufologist and a paranormal researcher. He wrote the popular book, which was turned into a movie called The Mothman Prophecies. And let's see, I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to pull up his book for the audience to see as well, in case anybody would like to check this out.
Hey, you know that last account, what it reminds me of?
What's that?
You probably haven't seen it, but somebody in your audience has. The movie Mimic, where those cats are on the subway, and they look like that, like they've got these trench coats on, but they're not Mothman, they're like roaches.
No.
Giant roaches, mutated roaches. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
A pretty good movie, actually.
Well, I think you're going to really like what John Keel had to say, Barry, because he suggests that the Mothman was an ultra-terrestrial. And he interviewed witnesses and he studied reports on these creatures. And he did it enough to write a book, and the movie was made about it. But he began being targeted. He claimed that he was actually being followed by the Men in Black, some MIBs. It was like men. Apparently he's the one who coined that term, Men in Black. He said that he was being followed by men in dark suits that were dressed nice, that were threatening him. He started getting headaches. He was getting episodes of extreme paranoia. He had messages showing up in his voicemail. I guess like back then there were voice recorders, but no phone calls were coming through. He was just getting messages on his device. His mail was being opened and resealed, he said. He could tell it had been opened. And he was being followed by Men in Black. Some believe Mothman was an extraterrestrial, but he said it was an ultra-terrestrial. Now, by ultra-terrestrial, I want to tell the audience the way he described it. An ultra-terrestrial is a creature that lives on Earth, but lives in another dimension. A dimension that we cannot perceive, and it lives outside of time. It can materialize and dematerialize anytime it wants. They adjust their energy to match different wavelengths on the electromagnetic spectrum. Some say they're spirits, angels, jinn, shadow people, you name it. They can all be ultra-terrestrials. Even Bigfoot. I don't know. What do you think, Barry?
Well, I mean, honestly, he's exactly saying the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis. Okay, the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis and the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis are basically the same thing. Okay, the only difference is slightly that when Keel talks about them using and manipulating different frequencies and things, Mac Tooney's kind of took it into more of a hive mind coming from a super intelligence system that they're using that's in the inner Earth. But otherwise, the premises of ultra-terrestrials and crypto-terrestrials are exactly the same. Now, before I shut up again, man, this takes us into so much. Now I've had to take all this other stuff into accountability, which is that Spear network. I saw too much scientific data evidence about the spirit network to just deny it. Okay. Once I really had looked into it. And when that comes down to, my question would be, is Chicago also one of these ley lines that Patrick Jackson talks about, is the circuit of power that goes to this weapon system? And when it gets altered for whatever environmental reasons by humanity or whatever, it reroutes and goes certain ways, and that place just blows up with poltergeist and with all sorts of hauntings and phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're seeing right there. You know what I mean? And it makes you wonder. So it makes me curious, what is the orb ratio that's being seen around there right now that would qualify as type 3 spears that can produce these kind of effects? I'm just saying, it's a good question. You know what I mean? Amongst other things. And why I say that is because that completely ties into the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis / ultraterrestrials, whatever you want to say. You know, sometimes we get, I think, thrown on terms. But I did a live about this a couple of weeks ago. So I think it ties into that whole spirit network. And is this Mothman eruption being connected to these orbs and to that spirit network system? I think it's a very valid question, don't you?
Heck yeah. Yes. See, I love how we can connect some dots here, right? And even more dots that have been connected previously. I mean, it's just wild. And I did have a website actually of the O'Hare Airport sighting. So let's go. Let me share my screen right quick. And
I got a bad feeling every time I've been in O'Hare. I don't really like it. Really? You know, last time I was there, I had a layover. Not just that I not appreciate that snow and that wind coming out of Chicago. Good Lord. It cuts through even turbos. Even long jobs don't do you up there.
But, I've been there.
But just the vibe, kind of like Denver Airport, it felt weird to me.
Ooh, I like the connection to the Denver Airport. I was going to say that, actually. And there's a lot of anomalies with that airport as well. Well, this is actually a website that we've got pulled up here. This is from Hangar One Publishing. Okay, they put out a bunch of books on cryptids and things like that. And this is from their blog, I believe. The Mothman of O'Hare, winged humanoid sightings haunt Chicago skies. You guys can go find this out. A fellow named Jack Sullivan, who's a cryptozoologist, wrote this. And he's talking about all of the different reports they've gotten out of O'Hare. And let's see, I had a few down here. Here's a couple. We can go over a couple of these sightings. The one from 2020 is the one that I already read to you guys, I believe. Well, there's a couple from 2020, actually. We've read this one. Let's go to the top one. One of the most striking sightings occurred February 2020 when an airport security officer had a hair-raising encounter during a routine cigarette break. Okay, see, I got these confused. As he stood near the perimeter fence, movement caught his eye. There in the shadows was a massive black winged being. As the officer watched in a mixture of awe and terror, the creature turned its head, revealing a pair of glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. Suddenly, the entity let out a bone-chilling shriek, a sound that made the witness compared to the screeching of train brakes. With incredible speed and agility, this Mothman-like being took to the sky with its powerful wings propelling it upwards before it disappeared into the night. And now the second one was from September 2020. I've already gone over that one. That's where the lady was leaving, got in her car, and then she thought it had on a trench coat. And then it opened up its wings and shined its red eyes at her, basically. And this is, with these two accounts, while undoubtedly the most dramatic, are far from isolated events, numerous other witnesses have come forward with their own sightings, each adding a new piece to the puzzle of the O'Hare Mothman. And some have reported seeing them on perched atop buildings and light poles, its red eyes gleaming in the darkness. Others have described the entities as having a humanoid body structure with distinctly human-like legs and arms, in addition to the expansive wings. Okay, and it does interact with humans, and it knows when people are looking at it. Excuse me. And so, well, that's just that. You guys can go find this article if you'd like to check that out for yourselves. Pretty fantastic. Great reporting. Good investigative work by that gentleman right there. But I want to go back to John Keel now. Like I said, we have a lot to talk about, so I'm kind of blazing through this today, Barry.
Okay.
John Keel had something that he called window areas. And I wanted to talk about this today because window areas are places of hot spots of high strangeness. Okay. And that is what, and you and I have talked about this over and over again. My research areas are, I'm going to call them window areas. Now, that's places like Skinwalker Ranch would be a window area. Okay. Places where like, it's almost like the dimensions are overlapping and like all this weird stuff happens. Right, Barry?
Yes. Here's the thing. Okay. Just write this down or something. Okay. You're really good at this. Okay. You hunt this stuff down. I'm telling you to please find a map of the Spirit Network from Patrick Jackson. He's got these roots. I want to see how much of that correlates to everything. The missing 411 stuff, the hot spots you go to, the stuff we're doing right now. It'll just be interesting to compare all that. And I think you'll be better at finding that than me. So okay, that's all. Sorry. But I think these window places you're talking about are the Spirit Network places. I think it just all ties in together. The ultra-terrestrial thing, all of it. You know what I mean? It makes complete sense. It's just a little missing factor on top of everything else that we know. Just additional knowledge that broadens our perception of it. Sorry, please keep going.
Yes. Well, here, when you type in map of the Sphere Network, it doesn't give you exact locations, but I don't know. I can do some more digging. Okay. We'll find that. We'll find it, Barry. It's challenge accepted. Okay. Challenge accepted. I'll find it. Cool. Somebody in the audience will. We're going to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that's interesting because actually, I'd mentioned a while back a friend of mine, a lady that I just met couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, who became a friend of mine. I met her and 2 other ladies with my son. It's an Indian burial mound. And she was actually maybe had some kind of contract going on with, government ties and stuff. And she was mapping out the Indian burial mound. And she was also mapping out hotspots for paranormal activity as well. And she was wanting to know, I can't ever give exact locations away for where my team does our research and stuff. But, general vicinity, she was just wondering, like, I don't know if they were trying to tie these all in together. Maybe she was part of something putting together that Sphere Network. Finding out the map of that. I don't know. I can tell you there are people that are on it, though. There are people that are working on that, Barry.
One other little thing that was really interesting that you just mentioned a while ago was that people in these spots are having these getting sick and getting ill and stuff. And tying back to those type 3 spears that they're causing some of these poltergeists to get people away from them when they're uploading or doing this flash, which emits high amounts of gamma radiation and microwave radiation that gives people radiation poisoning. And that's what you're describing these people are experiencing. It always goes back to the radiation again, at least connected. So I think that factors in also. I found that fascinating when you just threw that out. People around these sightings are getting sick.
Mm-hmm. Energy drains and nausea. Yes, Machete. Thank you for sure. Okay, well, let's get into these window areas because I want to talk about what John Keel says about these, and I think it's fascinating. Okay, Point Pleasant. So we're talking about Point Pleasant first, and Point Pleasant is where the original Mothman sighting started, and it's right before a disaster struck. The bridge collapsed. 46 people died. They plunged into the icy waters. There's been Mothman sightings, potentially right before 9/11 happened. That one winged creature that could have been a Mothman or a pterosaur was seen that you showed us a picture of, Barry. Also in Chernobyl, right before the Chernobyl reactor exploded, there was the Mothman of Chernobyl that showed up. And that's in Russia, I believe. Okay, so I think it's in Russia. All right, but okay, so Point Pleasant is a paranormal hotspot with lots of UFOs. And so is Chicago. Chicago has a lot of UFOs as well. But areas like that are window areas, according to Keel. Human consciousness can summon these beings like Mothman and UFOs. Some areas are related to these, dare I say, this is me saying that, portals. Okay. Keel says UFOs are directly related to human consciousness. There are deeply rooted psychic and psychological factors in the UFO phenomenon. And the sudden appearance of a light in the sky triggers and releases the human energy that stimulated seemingly supernatural events. This cosmological system of control has been in effect since the dawn of humanity, is what he said. Now, so everything in the human consciousness is energy. We can conjure anything we want by just thinking about it. Right, Barry? I mean, that's manifesting stuff. The government, here's where we get into the government stuff. The government, CIA, and the military has been studying this for decades. Once you're tapped in, you can pretty much manifest anything. And the MIBs, the men in black, were going around door to door asking people about if they had seen Mothman and about their sightings. And John Keel thought these creatures were warning of impending doom. These entities show up before a terrible event. Were they warning them of upcoming disasters, observing the disasters, or were they causing the disasters? That's a good question. Those are 3 good questions. And like I said, 46 people died in the Silver Bridge collapse right after the Mothman was seen over there. And of course, they showed up not only at 9/11, but 8 years later after the Silver Bridge collapse, they showed up in New York at a place called Binghamton or something like that. I can't.
When you say they, do you mean the Mothman or the Men in Black?
The Mothman. The Mothman showed up. Yeah, so they're showing up all over the place. But okay, so we're talking about these window areas, and I would think a window area also would be somewhere like Mel's Hole, places that have been wiped off the map as far as like Google Earth goes and stuff. Like we're not able to access these places easily. Like the government's come in, taking over them.
Don Juan Mattis in the Toltecs called power spots.
Power spots. I mean, even places like Montauk, Camp Hero, that is a place where, Brookhaven Labs is right there beside it. They were doing all those experiments there. There's a rich history. Brian Minnick and Long Island Bigfoot Mike have come on the shows, and we have talked about that extensively with the Native American culture that was there, all the 13 tribes that met at Council Rock. And it was just a very powerful place with glacial rocks and stuff. I mean, big rocks of like quartz, I believe, and stuff up there. I mean, I think it's all related. Okay. I really do. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Barry, before we move on?
Again, going back to that spirit network, it's been recording that these type 3 spears that are technically drones from these ultraterrestrials or cryptoterrestrials, this super intelligence, that it responds to psychic emissions, just like any drone that has input and output in terms of receiving information and sending information. But they respond to psychic activity. And that's why they also produce these things that pull people away from them when they're uploading. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just something else, again, to tie that right in there. It fits right in to everything that we're learning so far. And it accounts for a lot of the phenomenon. You know what I mean? So is that what we're dealing with? Is this got something to do with part of this war that's going on this planet that has to do the factions that are taking people and abducting people and just missing people and people slipping through these portals and things, which we know there's some sort of agency that's already manipulating these portals, like humanity's trying to do, an advanced agency that's been doing it for thousands of years, okay, here on this planet. So is that part of that war between them and these other faction of beings on this planet that's in secret? That's what's going on. And we're actually uncovering that true thing. And what you're seeing is a lot of events with the Mothman or whoever and whatever to deter people with psychic events from what's really going on concerning this war. Everything we see in this planet is so concocted that actually being able to see by energy itself is difficult. And that's what we're getting to right now. Very, very fascinating, my friend.
It is. And so I wanted to get into some of these programs that our government has been a part of, still are today, allegedly. I mean, they say they're not, but I think they are. And it's so weird, Barry, because I kind of have like inadvertent ties to almost all these programs, it feels like, which is weird. Like, not that I was in these programs, but I have been a part of like traveling to where these events happened and with groups of people, and I'm friends with people who have been parts of these programs, and I've been trained in some of this program material. Okay, I'm just saying.
I heard you in
it's
denial.
Weird.
You was in the programs. You was in denial. That's what I heard. You can't accept it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
I don't think so. I mean, at this point, I'm trying to figure out: are we even who we are? Are we clones or what? I don't know. I mean, we could be robots. I don't know. I doubt it, but it's just weird.
Been through that. Somebody said after my car accident, I'm a clone now, and I'm like, or was it a walk-in or something?
Couldn't be.
Lord, man, goodness, my family got a real joy out of that one. They thought that was hilarious. They said, tell those people you're the same weird a-hole you've always been. And there's no doubt about that.
You're the same. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. Super spy. Super spies here. Not that I know of. I don't know. Would I even know if I was a super spy? That's the problem right there. Right?
Well,
I don't know if we know Barry.
There's no superheroes named Barry Littleton. There's superheroes named Jessica Jones.
That is weird.
Whole TV show, man.
They did base the character off of me, I think. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Thanks, Marvel. Okay. By the way, Batman is DC Comics. I saw those comics, y'all. Thank you. And Chernobyl is in the Ukraine. And actually, I was saying Russia, in my mind, I was here in Ukraine, but I said Russia anyway. So thank y'all. I love my chat. Y'all know way more than I do a lot of this stuff. Okay. So thank y'all. Okay. Well, let's get into some of these projects where they have either declassified or they have admitted or they haven't admitted, but people have been whistleblowers that said they are utilizing and opening portals in these programs. Now, the first one is somewhere where I have actually been. We've been talking about it today, Montauk, New York, on the very northern tip of Long Island. They worked on the Montauk project. And I have some pictures. Of course, you guys know I've been there. We've had Brian Minnick on the show and Long Island Bigfoot. But it's famously known for the Sage radar tower right there. It was used as an Air Force base a long time ago. And the TV show on Netflix is called Stranger Things was based off of this location. Now, the Montauk project that was supposed to be around 1983 under Long Island, New York, Camp Hero kidnapped children to amplify psychic ability strong enough to rip holes in reality. Survivors have seen creatures coming in and out of the portals that are allegedly underneath this location. And we've had plenty of people on my show alone that have been firsthand witnesses to some of this stuff. And Brian and Mike have actually seen Junior. There's Bigfoots on that property. I've gone Bigfooting there personally myself. And that is where we ran into the security guard who half of our group saw a white man with a ponytail. The other half of us saw an African-American man in the same car.
I told you how that's done.
Mm-hmm. It was weird, Barry.
It's moving. It's an individual that can move their assemblage point, meaning the point of perception on their luminous cocoon. Therefore, everything that you all perceive is going to be cognitive dissonance. Cognitive bias. Yeah, that's why you all saw a different person. You know, Don Juan would do that. Juan Mattis would do that to Carlos Castaneda and their whole Warriors party. He'd walk in and all 6 or 7 of them would see him dressed different. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then they wouldn't realize it until he walks out. There's even a deal of Star Trek about the salt vampire. When the salt vampire first comes on, Kirk sees her as an old woman. McCoy sees her as a young person. And the other instant pervert sees her as some sort of exotic dancer.
Oh my God.
Anyway, just food for that.
Trouble.
But you experienced that for real. That's been documented, you know what I mean, amongst the Toltec traditions. So I think that's interesting, you know?
It is.
True shape-shifting in that way, moving the assemblage point. That's also how you can defy death is also a thing called the death defiers. They move their assemblage point to another part of the luminous cocoon. And anyway, that's another subject. Sorry.
It's all related. And I love this. Okay. So, that is weird. Marvel's Jessica Jones is a psychic detective. Kind of weird parallel. Yes, it's kind of weird. It's actually weird.
Well, hold on. Somebody, Cosmic Joe, I think it said, I just caught it with my eye. It was absolutely ingenious, and it sparked my memory. He said that Spider-Woman's name is Jessica Jones. It is. and she's got the long black hair like you. I forget about Spider Woman because she didn't seem to make the crossover real
weird.
popularity like Spider-Man does.
Why do they have two Jessica Joneses?
There's no Spider Woman in Tobey Maguire's show or any of those. But I mean, she used to be when I was a kid. She was one of the comics. She was her own comic book. Her name was Jessica Jones. Good call, Cosmic Joe. That was pretty sharp, man. That was pretty sharp.
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
Over here geeking
that
out.
is mind blowing. I didn't know that. That is just really freaking weird, Barry. I'm just saying. It's just weird. I do not claim to be any of those people, y'all. Just remember that. I don't claim to be those people. Okay. But they may claim to be me. I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. So we got the Montauk Project.
Timey-wimey. Yeah, I got you.
So here's the thing about the Montauk Project. They have concreted all of they claim, and I know Brian has shown, I've been there, they have concreted up a lot of those tunnels and the buildings that are in there. They've actually flooded them out with water. And so they have, but you can still hear mechanical noises underground. There's still something, I've remote viewed it. There's still something under there. Okay. And so there's still something under there. But anyways, that was one of the first places where they were, I mean, I'm not saying it's the first because they were doing this back in the 1940s too, but they were supposedly opening up portals for time travel and teleportation experiments, y'all. Okay. And creatures were coming in and out of these portals using children to open. The children were opening up these portals, manifesting these creatures using their minds. Okay. So let's go to the next project. This is called Project Rainbow. And this is actually the declassified Philadelphia experiment. And now you know that why I went to Montauk was because of the Philadelphia experiment. And that was the 20-year biorhythmic portal was going to open again when I was there like 3 years ago. And the USS Eldridge was supposed to come through it. Now that is weird, right? Sorry, all this is weird to begin with. But this is a picture of the USS Eldridge. They say that they were actually teleporting this ship. I think it was off the coast. If I'm not mistaken, it was supposed to be off the coast of Virginia, I think. And it's supposed to come out in another location. I don't think this is a real picture right here, but somewhere online they said this was a real picture of some of the some of the sailors that were on there that were melded into the metal. That could be from a movie. They did make some movies about this, y'all. But it declassified files on the Philadelphia experiment where the USS Eldridge vanished and then reappeared. Sailors were found fused to the ship. Some say they opened a tear between dimensions and couldn't close it. The Navy denies everything, but never explained why half the crew went insane. Now, this is something that I believe Al Bielek was a part of. There were whistleblowers that have come out. People that worked in the Montauk programs were part of those experiments and stuff. So that's why we were at Montauk, was to watch to see if this portal opened, and the USS Eldridge is said to come through every 20 years. And even the guys that claim, I think Bielek was one of the people that claimed to get off the ship on a little boat and go in town. And so we were actually set up around town looking for people that were going to show up in the diner, the library, the bluff, everywhere. It was cool.
Bielek was the one that jumped off, right?
Yeah,
and
I think
the dimensional shift. And wasn't Basago with him also, or was that?
I don't think Basiago was there.
He's still the jump rooms over there.
He was in the jump room still.
Okay, gotcha.
He was busy going back to the address with Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, yeah. Gettysburg, right? Gotcha.
Yes, that was actually Project Pegasus, though, so that's pretty interesting too. That's a separate program. I think that could be included in this list, but we're not including that today. But let's go to the next one. Okay.
No, come on, throw it in.
So this is one that I had never heard of, Barry, and now I want to look into it more. It's called the Dugway Proving Ground. Okay, have you heard of this one?
No, it's beyond my knowledge.
Okay, so this is at the United States Army, 1968. Now, the Project Rainbow was back in 1943, by the way, the Philadelphia experiment, 1943. That's a long time ago to be doing teleportation experiments, if you ask me. But in 1968, this Utah facility tested more than weapons. It must be a weaponry testing site. Documents mention dimensional frequency experiments that went catastrophically wrong. An entire research team vanished for 3 hours, then returned with no memory and rapid aging. The building was demolished and the land is still restricted. Locals report seeing figures that should not exist. Barry, what's up with that? You remember you said that the ultimate goal is to wipe out armies of people, right? To teleport armies of people out of the place. That's what they're doing at this facility.
Wow. You know what's really interesting to me about that? I had mentioned just yesterday this lady that I met in 2016 at a SETI. She was a speaker, and she's been on like Ancient Aliens and Mystery Explained. Her name is Erica Lukes, and she like was married to somebody from Skinwalker or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is near Skinwalker Ranch.
She was like way high in Utah MUFON, and she quit because, and she told me that she said that they were hiding a bunch of reports, the reports that were like stuff that was going on in Utah, and it would probably be connected to that. And she went further to say that she was convinced, and the last show I had done with her, it's been probably a couple years ago, I got her to talk about it on there. She said she was convinced that both Skinwalker Ranch and SETI were governmental testing grounds. But when you start dealing with this spear network and some of these facilities they would be using to hide things, they tie in there. Patrick Jackson thinks that's what Skinwalker is one of those places. So again, I'm not saying that's the absolute answer, but what you're putting there ties right into that. That's interesting. I never heard of that place, but it sounds very interesting when you start looking at the amount of UFO activity that's been recorded in Utah. It's supposed to be nothing but a bunch of salt, right? No, I'm just kidding.
It's literally right down the road from Skinwalker Ranch, Barry. It's not far from there, according to what I was reading. I was trying because I was like, how far is this from Skinwalker Ranch? That's the question.
And there's another ranch not too far from Skinwalker that has all the petroglyphs. You know what I'm talking about?
Is there a show on it?
That show, Skinwalker Ranch, that very long-winded TV show, excuse me, got to say it, but they actually went to this other ranch that's not far from there, and they had a bunch of activity. They were doing this. They had some Native Americans do some drumming there, and they say that the drum activates the petroglyphs. And they never seen activity, and they had their equipment up and everything. It's somewhere near Skinwalker Ranch. I guarantee some genius in your audience knows.
It's Blind Frog. That's what I was thinking too. It's probably Blind Frog Ranch.
That's the name of it?
Blind Frog.
That sucks. Ranch. I couldn't remember that. That's a weird name. Yeah, I should have remembered that. It is weird.
The oak. When I was a kid, I used to go out looking for oak ogs. Not blind frogs. They were broke frogs. I called them broke. They were broke frogs. They were dead frogs. I called them broke frogs. Is that a Vienna
thing, man? Is that a Vienna thing?
It's like hyenas. I was eating hyenas looking for oak ogs when I was a kid. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so that's the Dugway Proving Ground. That's a weird name, in my opinion. The Proving Ground, 1968. Let's go to the next one, because this is where we're going to get into some remote viewing. Okay, and so Project Scanate. Let me pull up some of these pictures here. Now we're going to talk about Ingo Swann a little bit as well. This is in 1973. The CIA remote viewers were supposed to spy on the Soviets, but kept reporting the same thing: a dark presence watching them back from somewhere else. 3 of the viewers never woke up from their sessions. The program officially ended, but there has been evidence found of continued funding under different names. They likely saw something they weren't supposed to see. Now that's weird, because I had not, maybe I was never told about this so that I would continue remote viewing. Because I didn't know.
But you think that's real, right? You think that's real, right?
I don't know. I think it could be real. I don't know. No one ever told me about this.
Well, is this where your big homie is talking about
Sentinels?
People, the Sentinels, and the people getting their soul trapped while remote viewing.
That's
is it
what
based on that right there? It sounds
probably
like
so. And I had never heard of this before. And I think
find out if it's real. Can you find out if it's real?
I will sure as heck find out what's real. I just found about this morning, y'all. Okay. Wow, so I'm gonna I will find out. I will report back to y'all on this, because I was never told about this one. But anyways, we have heard about people that were like remote viewing the moon. And I was like, they're just saying that they get trapped and they don't come back in their astral bodies, there, and their bodies here, and they don't wake up. I thought that was baloney, and I've never heard of that happening before. But some people say it is. I mean, I've heard that that's not true, but I'm gonna find out about this. Okay.
Ingo never said that in penetration. He just said that they were watching him. They were watching.
That's Ingo Swann.
Viewing. Yeah.
This is Ingo Swann, y'all, and he actually, the type of remote viewing that I do is based off of his methods. Okay, and so he was a military remote viewer basically, and he did remote view the moon. He wrote the book on it that Barry just mentioned. It's called Penetration. If you guys are interested in that, and he would get into those remote viewing targets like Mars and all these off-planet targets, just like I do, that I'm given stuff that we don't know for sure what that target is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a finite target. Because like, and by finite, I mean like this remote control would be like a remote viewing target, like something solid that we know what this thing is. You know, it's right here. It's rectangular and it's solid and you can push buttons on it and stuff. There's that. Well, then we got targets like Barry, you give me like even like well, I guess an attack on a person is like kind of, you can figure that out, but something like off planet, things we don't know what they are. That's what Ingo Swann kind of specialized in. Okay. And so that's what I do. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of make that clear.
For what it's worth too, those people that are familiar with the movie Dreamscape, you had Max von Sydow, aka Ming, also the exorcist from the Exorcist movie, but he played a doctor named Dr. Novotny. And Dr. Novotny was working at this institute and for the military doing psychic testing, like on psychics. That's actually what Ingo Swann did. And when you read in Penetration, he talks about that's what his job was for a long time before they even realized he was capable of what he was capable of. I thought that was highly interesting. You know what I mean? Or at least before he went to the remote viewing part of it anyway. So
it's super interesting. Okay. And okay, there's more. Okay, so we're talking about opening portals. Okay, opening portals. Now that's interesting that is on this list, Project Scanate, with these remote viewers. That's interesting because it's an astral portal kind of thing, you know. And then there's also Project Gateway. Now I am a proponent of the Gateway process, and I talk about that occasionally when we talk about remote viewing. That was part of my required material to learn remote viewing, is to learn the Gateway process, and that's the HemiSync programs, and that's where you're basically using both sides of your brain. Okay, if you guys can go find the programs go to Spotify. If you got a Spotify subscription, you can get the entire Gateway process on Spotify. Okay, it's not hard to find these, y'all. And I recommend, if you want to learn how to do what I do, you got to start there. Okay, and so Project Gateway, 1983, the CIA wanted soldiers to access alternate dimensions through consciousness alone. Their own documents admit they achieved it, but they immediately classified everything beyond top secret. Beyond top secret. And let's see. I'll just show this picture right here. Participants reported encountering entities that followed them back. Some never recovered mentally. The project was supposed to be terminated, but there are references in leaked emails. Now, this is just part of the Gateway process right there. It's showing the HemiSync of the brain. That's all that is. If you guys are wanting to get an idea of how the brain works right there. Okay. And so I don't know. I mean, all this about like people losing their minds and not coming back, that is stuff that I have never heard. I mean, I literally have not been told any of that. And I've been remote viewing since 2012 or so. And so I don't know. Some of this I question. Okay. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. But we need to just bring one of my remote viewing friends on the show and let them tell us. Okay, people that would know better.
Good. Little skepticism from Jones. That's good.
I'm skeptical of this stuff. Well, but you know what? The one person that could talk about it would not show his face, probably. So, I don't know.
But they can tell you it's true or not, probably. So that's interesting.
I could have a conversation with him and report back. That's what I could do. Okay, I could do that.
I'll be listening. See,
a lot of people who do this remote viewing stuff are very private for good reason. For very good reason. Either I'm not saying he was any part of these programs at all, but some of them might have been, and you know, things like that. And it's a weird thing. That's why I don't teach it. Okay. That's why I don't teach it publicly and stuff. I actually got asked the other day if I would teach a class. I was like in a day of remote viewing, and I was like, nope. I'll do it on my own one day. Okay. But anyways. Okay. So we got Project Gateway. Now let's go to the last one here. Okay, let's go to the last one. Cern. Okay, and this is where we're going to circle around to these Mothman sightings. I know, Barry, you talk about the other.
I'm just listening.
Okay, well, we'll talk about all of it. Okay, we're going to talk about all of it, but we're going to talk about like the Cern and even the rituals where they're opening portals. And I know this can be a little controversial because we talk about it's almost got like a satanic angle to it. Actually, I don't know if you want to call it paganistic or anything. It's more satanic, actually, is what people say, like these rituals where they're opening these portals. But honestly, there's just something to do with the Shiva, the destroyer, and that the statue they have out in front of Cern in Switzerland. Well, let's see. I don't know what date this is. Maybe around 2015. Scientists smashed particles at the speed of light. They detected anomalies. They can't explain. Strange symbols appeared in their data. A leaked video shows researchers, this is a still shot, shows researchers performing a mock sacrifice on the grounds in front of the Shiva statue. They claimed it was a joke, but why would physicists joke about opening gates? The timing matches unexplained seismic events worldwide. And right before they opened up, they started doing all these experiments. They had this really weird opening ceremony, And they had Goat Man. They had entities coming out of portals. It was definitely a portal that they had stuff coming out of during that ceremony, which I always found that really weird, Barry. That they had that weird opening ceremony. Now, whistleblowers have been coming out lately saying that entities are coming out of CERN's open portals. From now, and when I said these are government portals, CERN is government funded. The Department of Energy, they do programs, partnership programs overseas with places like Oak Ridge Laboratories. They admittedly have the Alice project that they work with CERN with their Large Ion Collider. I've talked about this a million times, y'all. But they're claiming that whistleblowers are claiming that entities are coming out of these portals, and that they actually, if you've ever seen Stranger Things, they have the upside down, and underneath that energy building, the Department of Energy, Hawkins Labs, I think, you go down there and there's a window you can see into the upside down world, right? And they're communicating. That's where all the Demogorgons were in that first season. They send scientists in wearing those hazmat suits and stuff, and sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. Okay. But that's what these whistleblowers are claiming they have under CERN. They have something like that. It's like a laboratory where you can see into the upside down, basically, is what these people are saying. And there's entities coming in and out of these portals they've created under there. They say that these entities they're communicating with are from the future, 45,000 years into the future. That they are ahead of us on a separate timeline than what we're currently on. Military agency Intel says they are trying to change the timelines, and they're fighting over, all these agencies are fighting over which timeline to go on, of course. And they're trying to change our timelines. Well, we already know that. Good Lord, we got all these Mandela effects, right, Barry? What do you think about all this? Because I know you got an opinion. 45,000 years in the future.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
At what point do the science fiction writers of the past become the disclosure people of the future? I mean, just some of this, I mean, I'm just being honest, okay, man? And
there's a good mix.
Because we start really looking into, like, current quantum science, things like the quantum lattice and things like that. It gets really, really interesting with what they can possibly do now. You know, so I don't want to seem like I'm just disproving of everything, but some of this is really fantastical. But that's all right. You know what I mean?
Could be.
It'll be interesting to see what's revealed in the future. You know, in terms of, and I would throw this out because I know how much you dig CERN. You never talk about Fermi Labs. That's all right. You know, you're always on CERN.
That was it.
Yeah, and you know, but I would challenge people to see what all anomalies were reported in Long Island from about 1952 to 1966 when the Cosmotron was in operation, which is a particle accelerator, but they just called them cyclotrons back then instead of hadron colliders because they were missing like a couple of the exotic particles they have now that they can collide. But anyway, I'm just saying how many phenomena were reported in Long Island during those times. I mean, there's a lot of going on there. So it's just, that was little things like that. So I'm not discrediting anything, but I sometimes wonder how much actually through special relativity they're able to really pierce these dimensions. You know what I mean? And I say that because you've got types of special relativity that uses low power, I believe, where general relativity is very high power, or it's separate. I'm sorry. I think special relativity is actually high power and general is low. So when it deals with things like curved space-time-like curves and inertial drag frame and stuff like that goes over spherical objects, that starts dealing with low power there. And so I'm just very curious, and how far I think we're not being told the true exotic particles that they're discovering in those colliders, even opposed to piercing dimensions. But what real power sources are they discovering that exist for what, less than a millisecond when they do those collisions? I don't think we hear about a half of them, to be honest with you. So.
Oh yeah. Well.
Now the timeline swap too. Whatever's going on with it, and whoever's doing it, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's people. I think it's factions far beyond humanity here that's doing it. But we know that when they do it, whatever conscious technology they're using to do it is dependent. It affects. It's an effect with the sun and with the solar radiation. When solar radiation is super high, is when we have these time edits and time shifts. That's when it occurs. So I think that, the activity of the sun, along with these private industries, needs to be observed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that actually goes back to that target you gave me of the Earth's weaponized natural portals. Right. And I was on the sun and solar flares and all that stuff. It's all in the data.
Don't forget the black cube.
Yeah, oh yeah,
and the spear too. You did both of those. Yeah, that was one. That one there was disconcerting there.
Yeah. They're all concerning.
AI of the size of skyscrapers, a bunch of them, making a whole unison. So you described that. What kind of civilization really kind of takes you to another level when you think about things that really are cyborgs and all these different type of AI worlds that just fell to AI or whatever's going on. I mean, let's be honest, right now, AI, we're just at the tip of the iceberg with that. And I fear whatever it is going to be woke up by our internet. It's like our internet is down here, whatever this intelligence is, you know what I mean? And it may already be within the earth. I don't know. Just really kind of a trip. I think we're going to find out.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to show a map of all these Department of Energy buildings, and some of them I am pretty sure there are some of these those ion colliders under these buildings, and we're going to, they do show us stuff in our TV shows, and there's a lot of disclosure going on, even with Stranger Things, and I'd mentioned the upside down underneath Hawkins Labs and stuff, and we've got Brookhaven Labs right there by Montauk where these real programs actually did take place. And I think there may be a connection with even this and these Mothmen that are being seen. If I'm not mistaken, I could have sworn somebody that was at Montauk said there were Mothman entities coming out of there. I think Leah's in the chat. Leah had mentioned that, but I think other people I know have mentioned that out of Montauk. So Cheryl says, I heard an interesting theory today. Tesla was stopped because it was tearing holes. Interesting.
Well, around the time that he made an earthquake machine that was based on the same thing that's the rotating that's in washing machines and dryers. He made an earthquake machine that's similar to that, and it's a little thing that he would that he had. But also during that time, he had some time technology that they confiscated. A lot of sketches, a lot of designs and things like that. So I've heard a lot of things, like even at Montauk and other places, are really designed behind his designs that were confiscated. So I mean, it's the Tesla time tech, I've always heard it called. First person I heard talking about it, I think, was, gosh, decades ago. That dude, Peter Moon, I think it was his name. I don't know if he's still alive though. Yeah, Peter Moon, and there was that other guy that passed away. They were all come out around the time Andrew Basago did. So anyway, sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that's wonderful. And thank you for all these comments, y'all, so much. Oh, before we go further, I did not even see these over here, y'all. I'm so sorry. Skip Dusty Vinyl Band, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate you so much. And Candy Zippy, thank you for that super sticker as well. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you and Willow are doing good. And also Moon at Noon, thank you for that super sticker. That is very sweet of you. And we appreciate y'all so much. Okay. Cheryl says Tesla was definitely a time traveler. Yeah, I love time traveling. Not that I'm a time traveler, but I love talking about it. I might be, actually, I don't know. But all right, let's look at these maps. First of all, I wanted to show the logo of the Department of Energy. Do you have any idea what they might look like, Barry?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
The Department of Energy. Oh, that's Philippines. That says Philippines on it. Never mind. I thought that was the United States. Dang it. Well, let's just look at Philippines. Since we got it up, I thought that was America. Oh well, Department of Energy, Philippines. It looks like the Hadron Collider. That's what I was thinking. I must not have had my glasses on this morning when I pulled that one up.
Those Type 3 spears would use places like that too to mask those gamma radiation and microwave emissions. Perfect places.
Oh yeah.
And I can tell you from experience, I found that around electrical stations, stations, that the haunted houses seem to be more prevalent around those places. Yeah.
Oh, what?
I found that especially true in Australia when I was there.
We've also talked about how Bigfoots will manifest at power lines. You've talked about that before. We did a whole show on that. Because I even had my friend Tyler down in Florida, I think it was in Alabama. I don't know, Florida, Alabama. Tyler Halliwell. He has a video of a Bigfoot running through the open lines right there where the clear cut where the power lines are down in, I think it was in Florida. And that's a place where oftentimes Bigfoots are seen running through there. Maybe they're manifesting through where those power lines are, Barry. That's fascinating. Okay. Super really fascinating.
It takes us into that whole electrical universe thing, which is beyond my pay grade.
well, let's check out this map. Excuse me. These are the national labs. What does that say? Department of Energy. National labs. Now, I want you to pay close attention to Illinois. Now, if you look at Illinois, remember where I showed it on the map, Chicago. We have, what is that, rate? I can't see it. Argonne? I guess it's Argonne Labs and Fermilab. They're both in Illinois. Okay, not too far from Chicago, right there. They're just south of Chicago, actually. I thought they were north.
There you go.
Yeah. So there's that, and I'll show you another map right here too. So I want you to show the audience. Remember where Chicago is, right? That's Chicago right there. And now I'm going to go back and show you on this map. Check it out right there. Look at Fermilab and Argonne right there. And okay, so actually, if you look just south of there, that's Oak Ridge Labs down there in Tennessee. That's where we have a lot of those Dogman reports and Dogman sightings. And we've had some Bigfoot and Dogman activity when I was out there with doing some Bigfoot field research myself with one of our teams out there.
I'd be curious to see what an overlay of the missing 411 map and the Sasquatch sightings map parallels to this.
Interesting. To this. Well, there's a 2012 map right there. And this is an old map. And I'm looking, there may be, there is a cluster right there, actually. Looks like it. There is a cluster up there in Illinois. So that's interesting. Good call on that one. Let's look at the cave map as well. Not so much on the cave side of things, but that is very interesting. I also wanted to show, here's another map, actually. So you can get a better view of it, actually. And it gives you the full names. So Argonne National Laboratory and Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory. Oh my gosh, there you go. Barry, do you see that? The Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory is right there by Chicago.
I was too much looking over at Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory. I've heard a lot about that place. Yeah.
Oh,
the stuff they're
my
doing is
gosh.
super advanced.
Man.
Sorry, you mentioned another one.
No. The Accelerator Laboratory is right there by Chicago. Okay. It is just east of Chicago. And so I'm not saying that is why they're having all these sightings, but Barry, could it be a factor in some of these winged humanoid, potentially even Mothman sightings?
Definitely can't dismiss it for sure. You know, I mean, I think honestly, Jessica, it's several different factors that included. And maybe like I say so often, some of these things may not be as separate as we think they are, separate classifications.
Well, and here's another thing. If they warn of impending doom, what if they're there because something crazy's happening or going to happen? And I don't want to put fear in anybody. Okay. Y'all don't live in fear, but I'm just saying, it seems like they show up like days before impending doom, though. And these things have been seen. There's been an uptick since 2017, and nothing super disastrous has happened. Right?
I can't remember. Did Keel say that they got telepathic messages or anything like that of impending doom from the Mothman?
Ooh, not in my notes, but they might have. I haven't
communication, or they just seen.
It's probably have. I don't know, because I haven't read his book, so I don't know. I was just picking out excerpts and stuff from it, so I don't know. I'm sure the audience would know. Somebody knows. I know Maureen's in the chat. She lives in Chicago and she loves Mothman. So I don't know if Maureen has read his books. Probably watched the movie, The Mothman Prophecies. That's something that I need to watch.
That's with Richard Gere, right? That one.
I believe so. But
that's what my mom always called him.
What did your mom call him?
Gerbil man.
Oh God, that's what I thought you said.
I swear to God.
Thanks for the visual. I forgot about that one. Just kidding.
Sorry.
Oh man. Why I oughta. I'm just kidding. That's funny. Yes, that is not something to be fondly remembered as that, but anyway. Oh my gosh, we do have a fun time over here at this channel. I tell you what, we do. But anyways, I wanted to show that connection though with those accelerator labs, places where they are making, like Oak Ridge Labs. That is where they were making I think it was atomic bombs. I think Maureen had said that they actually were making atomic bombs at those labs as well. One of those labs up in Illinois. So there could be a connection to that. Okay. There could be a connection to that with these winged humanoids as well. Maybe they're keeping an eye on things. Maybe it's part of that sphere network too up there, where they are keeping a close eye on all these weaponry sites.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that could be. We know they're definitely watching. Yeah. Sorry.
They're always watching.
They're watching that, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's really neat, and the sightings continue to happen. Like I said, that we looked at the map. There's almost 200 Chicago Mothman sightings. Those are ones that have been reported. There's probably lots that have not been reported.
Yeah, that's a really interesting connection, actually. What you made, I can't deny that at all. I forgot to look. So, was there one near Denver?
Ooh, you're talking about the Department of Energies?
Yeah.
Let's look.
You just posted something. Who said that? Uranium. Who said that?
Engineb just said that, I believe.
What's interesting?
There is one in Colorado, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that NREL? Okay, go ahead, Barry. Sorry.
No, it's interesting. They said uranium on there. I couldn't see the whole comment, but when dealing with, you were mentioning the Men in Black and John Keel, but he was Johnny Come Lately compared to Al Bender, who was really the first person who mentioned the Men in Black. And when he got his visits, he said that they told him that he was onto the thing about UFOs, but that they were mining a special mineral from our oceans. And I had long wondered if that was uranium that they were here getting. And that's just when all his sightings with Al Bender started. It was over them saying that they were mining something from our ocean. And that's why there was such a flap in the 1960s of the UFOs and stuff. So it's just interesting. I haven't heard many people mention uranium, so that just made me think of that. And I was thinking about that earlier, you know, when dealing with the Men in Black. Is that connecting? That doesn't mean that is what they were mining from our ocean, but it just seems like it's a possibility. You know what I mean? When dealing with higher enriching energy sources that we weren't very hip to back then.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Maureen says, University of Chicago nuclear reactor developed. Oh my gosh. You know, the University of Chicago is where Dr. Charles Scudder came from, who is the one who created Corpsewood Manor in North Georgia, on Devil Worshippers Mountain. And that brought all the LSD 25 down to Georgia. So,
I'm sorry. Somebody said Gerbil Man meets Mothman. I should never have said that, man. I'm sorry. That's funny, Jessica. That's damn funny.
Oh, this. Mark says, oh my God.
Okay, sorry.
Boy, I tell you what, I can't take y'all anywhere. I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh, man. Okay, sorry. What were you saying?
That is funny. Well, it doesn't matter now. I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. That is funny.
I should have looked over there. I just saw it. It got me. I'm sorry.
That is funny. Oh man. This has been a very well, even with that statement, this has been a really fun show. It's been very informative, actually, and I've learned a lot. And I think we're connecting dots here that not a lot of people are connecting, Barry. And so I appreciate you coming on the show with me today. And
you did some convincing on me. I thought that was interesting, the CERN and the Chicago thing. I did think that was interesting. I've always harassed you a little about CERN, but I thought that was interesting, and the fact there's a Fermi lab there too, and that is super interesting. So I think that's real merit there. So
they have two labs within miles of each other. There are two labs, and one of them is a reactor. What was it called? The accelerator, the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory and the Argonne National Laboratory. And so it's just something to keep in the back of your mind when we're having all these encounters with winged humanoids, gargoyles, you know, orange-eyed Mothmen, red-eyed Mothmen, and things that have bat wings, literally look like Batman. And keep that in mind, y'all. Thanks to your tax dollars. They're opening portals. Yeah, they're opening portals and letting whatever come through. You know, thanks, government. We appreciate y'all. Okay, but this is for entertainment purposes only. It's all just alleged. We don't know for sure. But anyways, it is entertaining. It's very entertaining. So anyways, Barry, like I said, thank you for being here with me today. Do you have any like final thoughts or anything before we go today on all this?
No, I think you covered it quite a bit. I thought it was really well done. No, and just some broaden my horizons also concerning the accelerators and where they're located and some of this activity. I thought that was really good. And incorporating the whole Spirit Network with it also, and the Ultraterrestrials with the John Keel thing. I think that's important. It's connecting a lot of more dots. Sorry, it's allergy season too, and I'm starting to sneeze and stuff and my eyes water, so I can't be laughing like that,
man. Hey, we all need a good laugh. And I like the connection you made with Bat Squatch too, and it actually does fit the description of some of those reports out of there. So
and I'm not super familiar with the Bat Squatch. Maybe we'll get familiar with that sometime. I got to laughing when people were telling me about it initially so much the way they're describing it. But it's interesting if that is actually a Mothman or if that's more, it takes us still into that hominid, cryptoterrestrial, hominid extraterrestrial, that species of part of that hive mind. Pretty interesting, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it could take some more looking into for sure. And you know, we do have Maureen living up there, and Maureen can be our local reporter. If there's any more sightings up there, Maureen, let me know. Okay, if you hear about any.
Maureen Milton.
Yes, yes.
Oh, she's cool.
The girl in her gong. So thank y'all.
Oh,
thank
okay,
you for being here today. Yeah, thank you to all my moderators, man. You guys are awesome. And thank you to all the chat that was here. Y'all blow my mind every show that we do, and make it even more fun for us. And Barry, where can everyone find you?
Probably HE double hockey sticks after this one. Actually, I'm at Barry Littleton. I'm on Patreon, YouTube especially. Please check me out on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, on Instagram, and also I can be reached at barrylittleton13@gmail.com. I'm about 2 days behind on my emails, but I'll get caught up today. I've been doing better. So shoot me an email. Office services, hypnosis, readings, hypnosis of several different modalities. And thanks to the work we're doing together, it's really branching out. I'm having more people coming in, and it's cool because I learn more also as I do them. You know what I mean? That no matter how many of them I do, I feel brand new every time. You know what I mean? It's just so fascinating. It's about creation and who we are. It's a trip.
Oh, yeah. Carrie, I'm with you. We have to laugh to keep from crying. That's right. I saw that comment. I always say that. If we're not laughing, we're crying. So I'd rather laugh. I'd much rather laugh. And so please, y'all, go and subscribe to Barry Littleton on YouTube and join his Patreon, and check out Barry on Sundays live around 4. It's usually 4 p.m. Eastern, right, Barry? 3 Central.
4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Be there or be square, y'all. And so thank y'all again for being here today. And I want to thank, we had a couple of super stickers today, and I want to thank you guys for your support with those. And Skip with the Dusty Vinyl Band, thank you so much. Candy Zippy, thank you. And Moon at Noon, thank you so much. And you guys, please come back and see me on Wednesday. I will have I'm scheduled to have an actor with The Walking Dead come on the show Wednesday. We're going to talk. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know the topic.
Which one?
Oh God! Don't put me on spot, Barry.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You said it. I like to watch that show.
Where are my notes? I don't. Oh yeah, hold on. I'll tell you his name. Hold on. I think Dr. Stamey's probably going to show up with us too as well. But I'll tell you his name. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
I was so appalled with all the violence. I watched that show first.
I know Kevin Holland. I couldn't remember his last name. Kevin Holland's coming on the show, and I can't remember which seasons he was in, but he was in multiple seasons of The Walking Dead, and so he's planning on coming on the show. He's also going to come out to my event on Saturday as well, and we have some good conversations together, and so y'all stay tuned for that. It'll be fun on Wednesday, so come back and see me then. And until then, y'all, please be safe out there. Keep your eyes to the skies. Watch for gargoyles and all that stuff. And I'm sending y'all all my love and light. And I will see you guys back here on Wednesday. All right, Barry. Thanks for being here and going along on this wild ride with me. Bye, y'all.